If you're tired of not making progress and you're ready to be the artist you know you're meant to be, you're in the right place. You're listening to the Singer's Path podcast. The Path, or Performing Artists Training Hub, will cover everything, including singing tips that actually work, advice from top industry professionals, and life-changing mindset shifts. Out with the starving artist and in with the thriving artist. I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, professional singer, actor, educator, and entrepreneur. I'm not afraid to speak the truth and stop the gatekeeping of quality information so you can actually become the artist you dream of being. So let's get on the path, shall we? Even though we're all on our own journeys, it always helps to have a guide. Hello. Welcome back to the Singer's Path podcast. It is me, your host, Sarah Bishop. I am here today, of course, doing a TikTok live. I am about to go drive to New York City and have been behind today, even though I promised myself I wasn't going to get there too late. I have an audition tomorrow, a callback tomorrow. But we're going to do hopefully a punchier episode here. Amanda, my audio editor, is going to be going on vacation here, so I got to make sure I get these videos out to her so she can be on her way and have her good day, you know? So today, in the last episode, we talked about self-identity. We just touched a teeny bit around money and visibility, but really we started to get into singer identity and why maybe the identity you have is like the powerful singer or like the pretty soft singer, right, might be holding you back. And I briefly mentioned in the previous episode that maybe I'll share some of like my own chapters with this. And so I'm going to try to do in the most concise way possible, which might be a tall order. But like, again, I don't want to just like go on and on and on about my own experience. I want it to be, expansive for you so that like maybe you see yourself in my experience a little bit more. But I'm going to kind of talk you through like my evolution a little bit of this self-identity piece and things that were holding me up and how I was able to pivot them. Okay. Right before we get into that, I want to remind you that right now we are having this wonderful artist challenge happening. It's called the Inevitable Artist Activation Challenge. Okay. And this is going to really, really amp up your ability to really attract the things that you want in your life. So whether that's like a goal of like booking a certain gig or, I just really want to commit to my voice or, I want to be the lead in my community, right? Someone on the live here just asked if it's, just for intermediate advanced singers. No. This activation is for any type of artist at any level, and it's really about reclaiming your power as an artist. And let me tell you right now, we need you, okay? We need you. The world with AI, everything that's going on, it's so easy for artists to start to like feel bad about themselves, plug into this lack mindset, feel so out of their power, like everything is out of their control, when really it is the opposite. You guys are so powerful. You are so important in the world. And this activation is really about you guys seeing that, harnessing it, believing it with your full body, mind, soul, spirit, everything about you, and then activating it so that it is projected outwards in this energy so that you can then attract the things that you've been wanting, right? And of course, it is more geared towards manifestation. If you felt like you just don't really get manifestation or like you tried it and it's a little woo-woo and you're not sure about it, right? I have multiple episodes talking about different stages of manifestation for artists specifically, knowing that most of you are witchy woo-woo. You just don't want people to know about it. Okay, we're a lot of closeted witchy woo-woos here. And this is going to be, because you're closeted, you might not have had actual resources to do it more accurately and have these manifestations come in and drop in. Okay, so that's also what the Inevitable Artist Activation does, right? It activates the truth behind manifestation, how to make it actually work for you, right? We'll talk a little bit about the neuroscience of it, that's less just about like wishing and believing and hoping and more about deciding and choosing and changing how your brain works and making your nervous system feel safe to do so. So we're doing all of that. It's happening all through May. Okay. I'm just so excited to be leading this thing. If you're listening to the podcast, swipe up, join, again, the Inevitable Artist Activation, link in the bio. And if you're on TikTok Live, right, I will be announcing it here in the next 24 hours-ish, your ability to join. So if you're kind of interested in it at all, you can go on this live, you can go join the waitlist, and I will immediately email you on the TikTok live, right? And give you the information here as soon as it's ready to register. Okay. I'm so pumped that is happening. Okay. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about, I'm kind of piggybacking off of the self-identity episode. And I want to talk about how, just in case you guys relate to my story at all or have any kind of similarities, how your identity as an artist can kind of shift through different stages of your growth. Okay. So when I was actually young, first of all, I was more of a dancer. I think I've talked about this before, but I was not a singer for many years until I was like 10 or 11. My mom actually believed I was tone deaf and I was not encouraged to sing. It's a big reason why Pitch and Musician exists, because like I was told that I was tone deaf and discouraged from my own parents. And then by some act of God, like it ended up kind of falling into my lap because I wanted to be in a pageant and I needed a talent. My dance teachers were really freaking mean. They said I wasn't a good enough dancer to pay them to have a solo, to have a talent. Okay. And so I really wanted to do this pageant. So I told my mom I wanted to sing. She basically told me I was tone deaf. That wasn't going to happen. And then I was like, kind of like, screw you, mom. I'm going to do it anyway. And I like learned a song by myself and then showed it to her later. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, you can sing. Okay. Like that's, there's probably another episode where that's more in depth. Okay. But so my first identity around my voice actually started with a little bit like, maybe this isn't for me. Like I'm not like a good singer. But the thing was that there was something in my heart that was so strong that was like, no, you're a singer. And I actually used to sing to myself when I was like by myself as a little kid. I would sing the Part of Your World song and just like pray to God and hope and pray that like maybe someday I could be a singer, which is like so sweet now that I think about it actually. But it was a secret, like no one could know, right? And then when I started to be allowed to be a singer, then I took on the identity of like, I'm the pretty singer though. And because this is a new identity that everybody is validating me and seeing me as being a good singer, then, okay, well, I guess like I just have to sing pretty all the time, right? And had almost these like unrealistic expectations of like what it was like to learn to sing. Now, I also came from a buttfuck nowhere town, okay? Like in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. Actually, everybody does know where it is now, unfortunately, because of the Trump attempted assassination, which was, I mean, we're not going to get into that, but it was wild. That is actually where my hometown was, where that rally was. Do I support that political scene? No, absolutely. I do not. Okay. But I was born and raised there. Okay. And then moved to New York City. Okay. So anyway, so in that town, there was musical resources, but not like intense vocal pedagogy for like professional singers being trained. Okay. There was only like some classical technique. There was like a lot of backwards ideas about singing and like how to train to sing. And because I was kind of like naturally good at it, I just like kind of felt like I should just stay in my lane. I will say when I was, oh my God, my heart breaks for little Sarah. Thank you. We've done a lot of healing. We hang out with her. We let her sing. I'm going to let her sing tomorrow at my callback, actually, because she gets to be the pretty singer for the callback tomorrow. So that's the other thing that's cool about like developing relationships with these little parts or these little aspects of identities, however you want to say it, right? These little aspects, parts, IFS, these little elements of self that are in our artistry is then you can like choose to spend time with them and like let them express in the way they want, right? And the other episode, the Krav Maga Sarah that like learned to be powerful, like sometimes I pull her out. I'm going to be releasing a sword fight that I worked on with my friend last year. That's Krav Maga Sarah. Like you can see the ferocious, we all have many aspects of ourselves inside of us. We all encompass the entire human experience, right? So the cool thing about being an artist is sometimes you let those parts of you get to be expressed, which is really cool. But you have to have relationship with them and start to understand them, right? Which is creating intimacy with yourself, right? So anyway, so it's interesting because another identity that later formed kind of soon after I started to sing was I became very afraid of singing high. Because if my identity that I finally was being seen and witnessed as being a good singer, which is something I always wanted that attention. I wanted to be seen good at my art. My dance studio was horrifically abusive. Like the way that they treated kids was awful. It was also like literally 2000. Like it was so long ago. It was just like a completely different thing. And it was like, this is showbiz, kid. You just got to be able to take abuse, right? Like that's like, is so toxic. But when I was then starting to sing more, I realized if I tried to sing above like a C5 or like a D, I didn't know how to sing past that point. Okay. And I see this in so many people. When I talk about this, guys, one of my most viral videos has 6 million views. And it's because I'm talking about this thing I'm about to mention. I thought then I was an alto because I couldn't go past a certain point. And it actually wasn't because I was an alto. It was because I just was never taught. No one ever taught me the coordination to get up there. I actually have a gorgeous soprano. That's like my best quality, right? That's my gold. Okay. But no one could teach me that. I didn't learn that. I didn't learn my soprano until I was a senior in high school, right about to audition for college. And I learned it immediately. As soon as I had a good teacher, Amy Stabna, shout out, she like really changed my life and my ability to finally have like very high quality like vocal training for the first time, at least in my classical world, right? That's why I got into CCM. That's why I got into 10 out of the 12 BFA programs that I had, was because of this woman teaching me to sing soprano. That was always there. Just no one had taught me to do that. Okay. So because I didn't have the resources and I had the identity of I have to be a pretty singer, I sounded like trash trying to sing above a D. So I just didn't do it. Right. I was just like, I don't sing up there. Okay. I was actually pretty good at mixing in my first passage, like A to C sharp was like pretty naturally okay at that. And so I actually went a really long time with that mindset of like, I'm an alto. So much so that I was like a competitive, like nationally ranked alto. There was an education platform called PMEA, Pennsylvania Music Educators Association. And I was like a ranking chair champion of sorts. I was like first chair of the Eastern quarter, right? Like I swept, right? And when I say for younger singers, right, like, oh, you're a soprano, you're an alto, I actually really do encourage younger singers to sing alto because it's so good for your ear and your musicianship to not sing the melody all the time, okay? So were good things coming from that? Yeah. But the identity of like, I'm terrified to sing high because then I lose the identity that I'm a good singer, not good, okay? Now, not everybody has resources to have this stuff to train you to be able to do that. Another reason why I make what I make is actually for younger versions of myself. Pillars, a pitch and musician was for young Sarah that was told she wasn't allowed to sing because she was tone deaf. Okay? Pillars is for me in high school and college that, wasn't really taught to mix, right? An advanced mix was like me right out of college, and I needed to like train my voice to like be competitive to compete for Elphaba and be able to cross bend between genres. Like, guys, like when I make this stuff, like I swear to God, like they're like legitimately because of these. I know these are real issues because I have had them. Okay, so these are the many chapters. Okay, so anyway, so afraid to sing high, literally wasn't a soprano. Figured it out eventually, went to school. So then when I was at CCM, my identity shifted into I can no longer be the pretty singer. I actually have to be the powerful singer because that's what books. Okay? I have to learn to belt because I went to CCM. Everybody belted. And so what effed me up there, it was still a classical enforcement. And like I owe so much to my teacher there. So this is like, again, not to say anything that she was doing was incorrect because also I probably wasn't listening. Right? The vocal training at CCM is excellent. So like, again, this is not a reflection necessarily on them. But when my identity was on the outcome of like, I have to be able to sing this way now, that desperation was actually taking me out of my body. It was kind of somatically detaching me from being present to be able to do the subtle changes to do it. Okay? This happened with dancing. I actually, if we're talking about identities, I didn't actually start to connect to my body and like listen to it until, I mean, geez, Louis, like 3 or 4 years ago. Like, I'm not even kidding. Okay. Now, some schools have like the Alexander technique and they have like so many different ways, right? We had classes at school that I think were trying to teach us that, but like I didn't understand the importance of it. But the truth is, when you're doing really difficult vocal coordinations or, you're trying to be an actually really good actor, you need to your nervous system needs to be grounded and connected in presence and in your body. Okay? Being a professional artist is just hardcore parkour nervous system regulation. Can you be radically present under crazy circumstances? Can you be radically present in your body to do very tiny, subtle, nuanced adjustments of air pressure, pharyngeal narrowing, tilt, right, to make this sound? Can you return to your body to shift sound? Okay? So that's where I was really missing the mark. And Karen was probably trying her best, and I wasn't listening because I was so desperate to have the outcome. I wasn't listening to what would actually get me there. I was like kind of a little bit, I think, entitled where, she might have been telling me this is what I need. And I was like, no, I need to belt, but like wasn't making the connection that what she was telling me to do would get me there. You know what I mean? So probably not a very good student, actually. And she probably worked really hard to help me. And I was just like, right. So in college, like, could I like mix belt high? Like sort of, but not in an efficient way, right? Not in a way that I could do all the time. Okay. Someone just asked, the way you used to speak helped you with your singing? Yes and no. I don't know. I think sometimes the way I speak is not super great. Like I have to really watch myself. Like sometimes I just talk too loud. So I need to like bring it back and just talk too much, right? Obviously I'm like doing so much podcasting today, so I need to like watch it. This is why this needs to be abbreviated here. But yes, I mean, generally when you're learning to sing, like it should be derived from your speaking voice, your actual voice. Okay. So anyway, when I left New York, then the desperation thing got clamped down even more because it was like, oh shit, like now I'm in the real world and I need to be able to do this now to get jobs. And then I had not created like a sense of safety in my life outside of like, oh, I'll just get this job and that will fix everything. Right? I had not created like stability in my own life. So then it just got all kinds of sidewhacked. And I didn't have the money to pay for voice lessons. Again, another reason why I made Pillars in Advanced Mix. I had that kind of money at the time. Like I had been doing like UCB classes and I'd do like a one-off like thing with the Bob Krakauer studio or something and like pay the $400 or $500 to like go to one-on-one and like do a casting director class. But really what I needed was like Pillars or Advanced Mix. I needed a program that would like teach me to condition it in, right? I needed Inner Circle. I needed someone to help get my brain under control, right? Get out of this desperate energy, find my power, and then move from alignment, not from being dysregulated and ungrounded, okay? Because when you're dysregulated, that's what I mean. Being a professional star, to be a star, they are radically, exceptionally present and confident in that presence and complete in that presence. They understand the power that they are the source of the attention. They hold the energy of the audience because they're so present. That's what makes them so exciting. And so if you can't do that on your day-to-day, there's no fucking way that you're going to go to a final callback for Broadway. And these people behind the table, their whole job is to determine if you can hold the energy of a multi-million-dollar company on your shoulders. That's what it is. And so when it got to a point where like I was pushing, and listen, my gall and my push got me quite far. Like I was getting to final callbacks for Broadway shows, but I wasn't going my way because anyone could see that I was not ready for that because my nervous system was not broadcasting that it was mine. My nervous system was going, holy shit, I did this? Wait, I don't know if I could do this all the time. My voice hasn't been conditioned, right? I haven't been practicing. That's why I talk about group class when I talk about the story. I don't actually know if I can mix. What if I actually have to do Katie on Broadway 8 times a week all the time? Like, I'm going to get notes, right? There was this other identity that then became like, I actually don't feel like I know what I'm doing. That became the big broadcast. The broadcast was, I need this job. I need the safety that I believe that this job will provide me. But also I feel incredibly unsafe actually receiving this job because I don't know if I can do it. Okay. Is that going to book? No. Was I saying that? Was I walking around talking like that? No. Could someone feel that on me? Yeah. I'm sure it stunk. Okay? This desperate energy, this broadcast that your energy in your field is giving is everything. Everything. Meanwhile, at the same audition, I'm in the room with Renee Rapp, know what broadcast she was given? I don't need this. She was like, she had just like won the Jimmy Awards. Incredible. This bitch was effervescent. Okay. 18. I was like 25 or something. I wasn't that old either, but like 18. Her confidence, her belief in herself, the broadcast that she had was, I'm a star. And she is. And so it is, bitch. Like, yes. I was like, yes. Uh-huh. Here's the drum. Okay. Does that make, and someone says, was she nice? I didn't really talk to her a whole lot. I just like was dancing next to her. Right. But I could feel her. Right. She seemed fine. I mean, she wasn't rude to anyone. I do remember her being a little bit uncertain about the dance because that wasn't really her. It just didn't seem like her major skill. The Reginas that were in there, like dancing wasn't their thing. And I remember Casey Nicola being like, don't worry. Regina just gets carried around. She doesn't even dance. She like literally, she doesn't even walk. They just carry her. And they're like, cool. That's the inside tea. Yeah. So anyway, she seemed nice. I don't know. I don't like know her personally, but like I could tell her vibration was, I'm a star. And we were all like, yeah, you are. Okay. The people can feel you. Okay. So my vibration was not that yet. My vibration was, holy shit, this is insane. And if I get this, I don't know what I'm going to do. And also, I need this so badly. Not hireable material. Okay. And I learned this later and I talked about this in other content. What I needed was to practice all the time. And I needed actual training again because my skill set was not being kept up with and wasn't competitive. Like, truthfully, it wasn't. For what I wanted, it wasn't. Could I have gotten a chorus gig and a dancing thing if I like actually pivoted into focusing a little bit more on dance? Yeah, I could have. I could have been the chorus girl that maybe covers, but I knew that I didn't really want to do that because I'd already done that and it just didn't really feel aligned to me. So then I basically jumped to, okay, well, I have to be leads now. Like that's what I want, but I wasn't actually doing the work to be competitive to do that. Does that make sense? So really what I needed weekly voice lessons. I needed intense coaching to catch up to where I wanted to go. I needed to relearn how to act because I didn't really learn how to act at CCM. I needed to be in constant audition and film classes. And like, because a lot of people say they want something and then they just like complain about why it hasn't happened yet, but they are neither doing the skill set building that is necessary or the brain work and the energy work to actually be the source that attracts that thing and that people feel safe to give them that thing. People will only feel safe to give you the opportunity that you want when you own 100% mind, body, spirit, nervous system, soul, and you are emitting that frequency. That is when that happens. Okay. So moving on. If you need help with this, inevitable artist activation. I'm telling you guys, okay? I'm telling you the story of how I got here, okay? So at this point, when I'm doing this Mean Girl Katie thing, that was kind of like the breaking point where I was like, holy shit. I got so fucking close to my dream. And I remember talking to my agent and they were like, it's not going your way. And I was like, well, can I like in the future? And they were like, no, like it wasn't going to ever happen. Devastated. Devastated. Okay. And so a year after that, that's when I kind of mentioned this earlier. I was pretty much all-time low in all fields. Like could not for the life of me, like get a boyfriend, I was such a doormat. I got treated like shit all the time. I was like such a pick me, like anxious attachment everywhere. Okay. And so I actually started getting into this manifestation and like inner work then because I was like, yo, I am at rock bottom. Like I had been dumped by someone that I had been living with. This didn't quite go this way. I was like walking in fear a lot that I was afraid I was going to get attacked all the time. Men treated me like shit. I felt like shit. And I was like, yeah, so I'm not doing this anymore. I'm getting too old for this shit. Okay, I think I was like 26 or something. I was like, I can't keep fucking doing this. Like, I'm the problem. It's me. There's something happening. I keep attracting assholes. What the fuck, right? And it did get to that point where I had to be like, yeah, maybe I'm partially responsible for this or completely responsible for this. What was the other option? That I was just going to continue to blame everybody else for everything and not, like, take ownership of my own life and then continue to be in the same loop. Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're going to dismantle here. Like, where are you perpetuating your own bullshit? Okay. And how is it keeping you where you are? And like, how do we stop that shit? Okay. And I actively did that. So for the next year after that experience, I started to do the pre-programming of my brain with hypnosis. And I did a lot of deep work. And we'll talk about this again in the activation, but the universe or whatever's bigger than you, whatever you're co-creating with, right? We'll get into more detail about that. Will bring in the things that are most able for you to receive in that moment, right? Or the path of least resistance. Okay, you'll hear other people talk about that. For me, it was way less resistance to actually manifest and bring in life partnership and work on that element, and it bled into other areas of my life. So that's where in my life I got shown was where I needed to do the deeper work first. So I actually ended up rewiring my brain. I am not kidding you, through hypnosis daily. And getting out of like the doormat, low self-worth bullshit. And eventually like COVID happened. So this is happening. And then when I'm at my parents' house, I ended up finally, because I had completely changed my energy. But it was COVID, right? I was like, I'm not going to meet anyone anyway. Like, there's no way in hell. Like, but like, listen, I'm not also going to settle for anything less than what I want now. Like, I'm wife material. Like, I know, like, I had completely changed who I was in my identity and in my embodiment and was walking in that and had done work to do that and was acting like that finally. And so then I was like, at one point, right at the end of COVID, I was like, oh, I'll get on Tinder again. I'll try, right? But like, I'm whole within myself, and I know I'm not going to waste my time with anybody else unless they are it, right? And I know exactly what that is. I've learned enough from the experience to know who I want to spend my time with, okay? And that's when I met my husband, because I had finally treated myself with enough respect to honor what I actually wanted. And that was like the first, well, I had manifested other things before, but this was the first conscious, like, holy shit. Like, I've met the love of my life. Like, after abysmal attempts for a decade, right? So it is, like, when I'm going to talk about this with you, like, manifestation cannot be without the deeper work. And it also cannot be without conviction and choice. At a certain point, you're going to have to choose different. I had to choose and see myself honestly and go, yeah, I am the source of this. I can't blame anyone else for me continuing to go out with these awful people. Yeah, okay, hate all men, like what? That's 50% of the population. It's not even possible. Also, I know I'm friends with men that I love and respect. I'm just not like I'm not like romantically involved with them. So why is that the better narrative, to choose to hate a whole section of the population versus just looking at like, okay, so if statistically there have to be good men out there, maybe the answer is that you're not picking very well. Why? Well, it comes back to identity. I didn't really believe I was worthy of love. Right? Just how I didn't believe that like I could actually do that Mean Girls job. I didn't believe that anyone would actually love me or want to love me. That's what it came down to. And I had to like do some deep shit. I'd like do some deep work and then start choosing and acting differently. Okay? So again, that's up until a certain point. When I met Kyle, like, everything changed like a whole lot. And then I started having to get through all kinds of identity, like quantum leaping identity shifts around business, worth, being seen, visibility. And maybe I can do this in like a part 2 episode of this or something. But this was a huge shift where it was like, holy fuck, I am so powerful. And I also had to get real. And listen, when I talk, I know sometimes the way I speak about things is like aggressive. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? If you're still talking to someone that is not giving you the time of day and is not treating you the way that you deserve to be treated, he's not that into you. Stop it. Why are you doing that? There's something happening. There is some subconscious loop that you, like, it's this existential kink of it all. There's some part of you that believes that, like, that's what you're worth. because you would not tolerate it otherwise. If your dominant vibration was I am wife material or I am husband material or like I am a valuable asset to in a relationship, you will not act like that. Okay? So that's part of getting real too with the artistry piece. Just in that happens in your ability to attract other things that you actually want. But you have to know what you're actually broadcasting so that you can change the signal. Because if you're not aware of what station you're playing, then you're not going to be able to shift it. I want you guys to have autonomy over your life. I want your dreams to come true. Now, does it have to be the most painful, crazy thing ever? No. I think the bigger things you want, the more visibility, the more money, the more success, the deeper love, the actual connection, that's part of being on this planet, is to learn and evolve. And when you actually say yes to the highest timeline that you want, yeah, you're going to be tested no matter what, because that's why we're here, to learn and to actually enjoy our life. But in order to enjoy the things that we are actually meant to do, you have to let other shit go. You have to say no to other versions of being that are not lining up with how you want to be, right? You can't do both. You can't be accepting texts from your ex and like doing booty calls at 11 p.m. and attract the love of your life when you're out of integrity of who you actually are, okay? And the same goes with your art. You cannot be begging and pleading and crying to have a series regular and then beating yourself up all the time about like how nothing's going your way, and then also not practicing or doing anything to hold you in the skill, right? And just whining about how it's not happening for you, but then not actually practicing and becoming the person that is the series regular. Embodying, acting, choosing, practicing, being in class, walking around, talking as if you already are, being, right? You actually can choose. Like, here's the shortest cut. You can choose to be whoever you want to be. But while you have so many internal dialogues and subconscious stories and thoughts and narratives and things that you have learned in order to operate in your current way, as long as those are still blaring and those are still making the decisions, you cannot actually fully choose. So paradoxically, yes, it can be as simple as you deciding. But with that, you also have to decide and steer of what you're choosing constantly. You can't just one time be like, I'm a star now, I've decided I'm a star, and then continue to listen to the lack. No. If you're like, I'm a star, my musical is going to be on Broadway, okay, then any thought or any action that you're doing that does not align with that, you have to choose differently. And sometimes that means there's other older, deeper hurt and wounds that you might be ignoring that will not shut up until you tend to it, till you love to it. And then when you finally do that, that actually makes the space, and then you can choose more clearly. Does that make sense? So that's exactly the things that we do. We do this in the Inner Circle membership in great depths, okay? The Inevitable Artist Activation is like a taste of that, but it's going to go deep, okay? The Inner Circle that I see is like so transformative and so deep in how you think and carry yourself throughout your life, not just your artistic life, but like your being, embodying who is the version of you that gets the things you want, right? That is like the way deeper work. But listen, I'm not going to hold back on this activation, right? But just know it is the intro to that, okay? It is the intro to looking at yourself in the mirror and going, yeah, like, I actually really do want to live the life that I want to. And I'm not going to like continue to live and spiral on these narratives that are outside of me and continue to engage in this lack and choosing things that actually aren't leading me where I want to go. It's going to help you get real. It's going to light a fire under your ass. It's going to help you reclaim your own power. It's going to ignite your power and then make you a magnet and actually in alignment with what you want, or at least getting clear on what's blocking it. Okay. So with all of that, I do have to hop off because I have to go to New York City. Maybe I'll remember to do a part 2 to this so you can see kind of the more recent growth around like visibility and money. Guys, again, the more like you get in your life or the more like your manifestations come true, it's just like other levels of regulation, other things. Okay, so it's like Anyone that wants to live this full, joyful life, yes, at any moment you can choose joy. And that is actually often the answer. It is in choice, but there's also grief. Joy and love and grief are intertwined. Okay? There is no grief without love. There is no love without grief. Okay? So as you follow the love and the joy in your life and you're living in alignment, there will be things that fall away. And sometimes that involves grief. And so if you want that, right? It's also like, it's like the dynamics of life, right? Like we know that we can't really hear loud without the softs, right? We can't really see light without the dark. It's the same. Is either bad? No, it's just being alive. And so really it comes down to your system's capacity to hold the paradoxes of being alive. Can you hold all of this all together and enjoy living a full life? Enjoy ascending and moving each moment at a time to enjoy the things you're here to do and hold yourself in the dark. Okay? Sorry, we went real deep. Okay. We're going to be doing that more. All right. I love talking about this and doing this work. I hope you related to this somewhat or just like, maybe just started getting you to think about some stuff. And I'm really not in the business of isolating doing deep creative work from doing the center work. Yeah, they are not independent from each other. They are linked. Okay? I think, because I believe that you guys are really capable and powerful of doing some amazing things. And I'm going to treat you as such. And in that case, this is part of the work. Okay? I love you. I adore you. I think you're so wonderful for sticking around here, especially in the live. I always love having people to actually talk to. So thank you so much. This is the Singer's Path podcast. If you're listening to the live, okay, go check it out. Follow us, Singer's Path over here. Again, we are going to be doing this challenge. Swipe up, join. It's $33. Okay. If you're watching the live, like you'll be able to get it tomorrow. Just join the wait list that's in the link. And then we'll give you the link tomorrow as soon as it's ready. If you're listening to the podcast right now, you can join immediately. Get in there. Enjoy. I'm so excited to connect with you. And I can't wait to see you in there. If you love this podcast, please share it. Leave us a 5-star written review. I love seeing your reviews. Obviously, if you don't like it, don't leave a review. If you don't like it, then my name is Casey. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I love you, obsessed with you, believe in you, and I will talk to you later. Okay, bye. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps me get this information out to more artists all over the world. Let's work together to spread the joys of music. Until next time, I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, signing off from the Singer's Path podcast. Thanks for listening.